All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Whole Punch Podcast. My name is Abed, and I have...
I'm Hani.
Yeah, that's Hanny. I was going to introduce him, but I guess I can't have the honors.
Nah, I only have that honor. I've lived this life. It's been terrible, and I at least deserve to be able to say my name, you know?
Say my name. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, back on track. Welcome to the Whole Punch Podcast. We're starting this new podcast, and the purpose of the podcast is we're going to be uploading every Monday morning for all of you hard workers who just need a little break.
Hard work. Yeah, if you're like walking to class, or if you're in class and your lecture is really boring, or just if you're eating by yourself.
Fuck your professor. You listen to our podcast. That's where you're gonna learn some.
That's
serious
college,
stuff.
bro. That's what it is,
dude.
You better get your education right here, right now, Bobby, and it's free.
For free. Dude.
Where else are you gonna get that? Just tell me.
I mean, I might monetize the video.
Oh.
But it's still free.
It's still free. Just watch the ads.
Until net neutrality comes until net neutrality gets repealed, then it won't be free. Anyway, so going back to the discussion. So it'll just be the two of us this episode. However, in future episodes, we'll be hosting a third guest, or I guess one guest who will be the third person recording the podcast with us. Mm-hmm. And the whole purpose is just to talk about anything we want to talk about, you know. Anything is basically on the table in this podcast. You can expect to hear whatever you want. You know, we can talk about
not whatever you want, whatever we want.
Yeah.
And don't expect anything. You don't know what we're gonna talk about, and you won't know what we're gonna talk about.
Because we will exceed your expectations. All right. Like I was saying, so anything is on the table. We'll be discussing whatever we want. It can be music, it can be art, it can be history, it can be science, it can be politics, it can be how you're feeling right now. It can be your emotions.
Emotions, yes.
You know? We might even do some fun stuff every now and then.
We might. You don't know that.
What if we already do fun stuff?
We don't even know that, actually.
Yeah. Anyway. So, that's the whole purpose of this podcast. The Whole Punch Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And it's time to introduce ourselves. So, I think I'll be asking Hanny a couple of questions.
Do it, dude.
Did you prepare?
No.
Did you study?
Absolutely not.
Hanny, this is some serious stuff, dude. I think you should have prepared a little bit better.
I don't know about that. Usually I do pretty well without preparing.
Really?
Yeah.
So if I were to just ask you the hard questions, you think you'd get it?
Typically, I can answer the hard questions just right off the bat without any preparation whatsoever.
Yeah, but can you answer them like how I want you to answer them?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And that's why you should just shut up and play along with what I say.
All right, man, I'm ready. Let's get it.
All right. First question, dude. All right, I was kidding. I'm not going to break you.
Damn.
This is not an
I was so ready for it, though.
This is an icebreaker, but we're not breaking ice.
What are we breaking, dude?
So, Henny, tell me, buddy, what do you do for a living?
ATM. I grade papers.
Really? For what?
Differential equations.
And how would you how different of an experience is that?
It's actually not that different. Like, it's not as different as you would expect it to be from the name. So there's not much difference between, you know, teaching differential equations. Yeah, there's really not. Like, I expected it to be like kind of different, but it's really the same.
I see what you mean.
Like, it's definitely like clickbait, like, without a doubt.
I mean, what's clickbait about? Like, what would you expect coming in? Like, I don't understand.
Like, at least something different, you know? Like, it's just the same.
Then that wouldn't make it clickbait. That would make it honest bait.
No, but like, it's telling you, it's like, this is different. But then it's not.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know how you feel because, I went into linear algebra thinking I would be doing y equals mx plus b. I was like, oh, it's about to be a breeze. It's just linear
Oh
algebra.
yeah. Thought it was.
Little did I know that algebra actually had matrices.
Yeah, it does.
My teachers in high school never mentioned matrices. Not once.
Not once. Not
Not
even
once.
one time, dude.
Maybe my BC Calc teacher in senior year, he might have mentioned, oh, you guys are going to be dealing with matrices in the future, but he never said that algebra is matrices, which is kind of a ripoff.
That really is kind of.
Anyway, let's not talk about math. I'm
Okay,
sure
I
that
really don't even want to talk about math at all right now, dude.
I'm sure our audience is probably not Rick and Morty fans.
I don't. Yeah, they don't understand.
They don't understand
They don't
quantum physics.
get it.
They don't understand quantum physics. Yeah. So and what? Well, you're a student. So it's your senior year.
Yep. Ready
And,
to get out of college.
You're leaving me like that?
Dude, I'm not trying to leave you, but I'm definitely trying to not do this work.
I feel you, dude. I mean, I would get out of here as soon as possible.
Yeah.
ASAP.
ASAP. I'm a hip, dude.
Dude. Anyway. So tell me about what you're studying. Tell me about your major.
My major is computational modeling and data analytics. It's basically a combination of statistics, math, and computer science. It is 3 of the worst subjects on the planet.
Yeah, also 3 of the highest paid subjects on the planet.
Yeah.
So you're working for the
So
money.
I sold out. All right.
Dude, it's not it's not the worst thing to be a sellout.
Ever tell me that I sold out, because I already just said it. Actually.
I mean, wouldn't I be stating a fact then?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's facts, B. Anyway.
Deadass.
Anyway.
Okay.
How do you feel about your major? Do you like it?
I don't even like it, dude.
Why not?
Not even liking this.
Why not?
Just 'cause, I mean, it's just boring. Straight boring. Like, I don't like this. Like, I don't feel anything when I analyze data.
I mean, I don't really know how you would analyze data, and I don't even know if you're supposed to feel something. Like, I wouldn't necessarily feel
Shouldn't
happy.
you be passionate? Like, no, like some people are like, so we had like our professor was absent the other day, and the head of the CMDA department, we're not going to name drop. Okay, we don't do that.
But in case you want to know, just go to vt.com.
Just go look up like the head of the CMDA department.
Yeah.
Anyways, he came in. This dude was like there was. It's basically like an old school classroom, like in McBride. I don't know if you guys have ever been in there. It's like one of the older ones, 2nd floor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Don't remember the room number. Don't ask me about that. Okay. This guy was hopping from board to board with a white piece of chalk, and he was just
You mean chalk?
Chalk.
Like chalk, like the thing you
What am
write
I
on
saying?
You're saying chalk. It's chalk.
Chalk.
It's chalk.
Chalk.
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced chalk.
I think we're on the same page here.
You're saying chack. I'm saying chalk.
I'm saying chalk.
You're saying chack. It's like saying whack instead of walk. The difference is pretty clear.
I really don't know what the issue is here.
I really hope you're joking right now.
We can talk about this after.
Okay.
But yeah, anyways. This dude was so hyped on eigenvectors and eigenvalues and the power method, and I was like, wow. I envy that.
Man, I honestly, I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's not the end of the world. I mean, you can go into... How old is your professor?
He's pretty old, honestly. He's got white hair. Or no, this is not my professor. This is like...
Oh, the head.
Yeah, the head.
Yeah.
The head guy.
Well, I mean, he's the head for a reason. Let's not look at him as an example. That's like saying, like Elon Musk.
I mean, he's not old like he's probably like late 40s to early 50s. Let's say that.
I mean, like I was saying, he's not like Elon Musk. It's not like you wouldn't expect Elon Musk to like not be passionate about electricity and cars.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. Like this guy, that's a topic for another day, a story for another day. But I feel like this guy is currently revolutionizing the world as we know it.
Definitely doing that.
But that's a topic for another day. Getting back on track. Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be worried about it too much, man. I think you'll be fine. Don't stress it.
I think a lot of people say that, but I don't really believe it.
I mean, think about it this way. You go in passionate about whatever you want to be. You want to be passionate about business. Okay, it's your passion. You go into like a starting job, your boss is going to grunt you down.
Yeah.
You're going to be doing a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
You find out how much BS is involved in your field, and you find out how like dirty people are when it comes to making money.
Yeah.
And taking advantage of situations and trying to get ahead of you.
Yeah.
In betrayal. I feel like everybody's gonna experience that. Depending, like sometimes if your field is different, like you probably won't experience it. But I feel like for the majority of us who just decide to like work with something that gets that's mildly interesting, and that pays well enough, we certainly are gonna experience something of that level. I'm sure you can understand that. So I feel like I wouldn't be worried about it too much. Like, even if you probably went in passionate, something would have killed your passion down the line.
No, but like, there's always, I feel, room for that passion to be rekindled. Like, like say there's like you're saying the situation with your boss is just really making you hate your life and all that. You could go ahead, if you're passionate enough, you could go ahead and start your own thing. Maybe you make more money than your boss did.
I feel like, if I were to ever, get that far. Anyway, let's not get too far off topic. This was just to introduce you,
dude.
But it's okay. It's okay. This is a podcast.
Have I been introduced? Do you know me? You feel like you know me now?
I really don't. But
you got any other questions then?
Nah, this is all I got for you. I think it's time I was in the spotlight for a little bit.
It's kind of weird. All right, you want me to ask you something? Okay, Abed, tell me what year are you? What's your major? How you feel about your major?
I am a second year, sophomore, if you will, in civil engineering. How do I feel about my major? That's a good question. I actually like my major. I feel like passionate may be too strong of a word. Like, I don't wake up every morning thinking about it.
Yeah.
But, I definitely like what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm doing the thing that's right for me. Sometimes I think to myself, could have done something else, but at the end of the day, I get back home.
Like what? Like anything specific or just
in
general?
Sometimes money is a problem. Like, sometimes I consider, like, I could have easily done like computer science, or I could have easily done
not easily, but
you know what I mean. I'm just saying I could have done it better than the people that are doing it.
Okay, yeah. I like that confidence. Honestly.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's not really about the money. It's about doing what you want to do. That's what it really comes down to.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so that's how I feel about my major. I think it's pretty cool, to be honest. I feel like it's a very underrated thing. It's a very underrated major. I feel like there's so much so much that goes into it that people just tend to forget about, and people don't know about, really.
Yeah, and I don't know too many civil engineers at Tech, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I can go on about it forever, and we're actually gonna discuss something like that in a little bit. Okay. But yeah, so that's my answer. That's my response.
Interesting. I like that response.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks.
No problem, dude.
All right. Any other questions you got, dude?
What kind of stuff you like to do in your free time? Like, when you don't have any work or whatever.
In my free time, I'd say my favorite pastime is probably playing video games. It's a nice break from reality. I'll just say that much. When you had enough BS about life, you had enough with it. Sometimes it's good to just, play a good old game, forget.
Definitely.
And, I think that's the best thing, is that sometimes, when you're watching a movie and when you're playing a game, you're listening to music, you forget reality.
Definitely.
And I think that's it's a very special thing about humans. But yeah. That's my favorite pastime. And I like to do other things besides that. Um, most of which don't really involve other people. Um, I like to mess around, like explore new things, like try to edit videos.
Yeah. Start a podcast, something like that.
Yeah, I never thought, like, I just, like, starting a podcast. I don't know if I would do that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
like
into
on your own, or?
No, I don't know if I would ever start a podcast.
Oh, just never. Yeah.
I would never.
Yeah, it's
I would
kind of lame,
never be
honestly.
a host on a podcast.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of, it's not a good gig.
It's really not. It's not worth it.
The amount of work that goes into it compared to what you get out of it, absolutely absurd.
Well, we're not talking about your major, dude. Let's stay on topic. Okay?
I'm talking about life in general, my guy.
All right. Well,
Let's
my bad.
get one thing straight here.
I know I can't do that.
Oh.
Anyway.
If you say so.
All right. But yeah. So that's what I would have to say.
Interesting response.
Mm-hmm. What about you? What kind of pastimes do you have? What's your hobby? What do you into?
That's a good question. I feel I've been like I've hopped around a lot of hobbies like through my years, and I think I kind of lose passion for them, like very
Quickly?
not necessarily quickly, but I'm just like
You didn't do
after
enough?
I'm done with it, I'm just like
That's it.
whatever. Yeah, like I'm done.
Never
with it.
coming back.
Yeah, just like I can just drop it. Like,
give me some examples.
Yeah, like I used to be really into like filming and editing videos, like kind of like movies, like short movies or whatever. And I wanted to even go to school for that. I wanted to do like filmography or videography or whatever, director of photography, schools like that. And but my father quickly shot that down, and I was like, yeah, it was pretty bad, honestly.
Honestly, man, see, I feel like I can be sitting here and talking to you for hours on end about literally anything you bring up. Like, just from that, like, there's so much problems. There's so many problems regarding parents not, discouraging their kids from doing what they want to do.
Definitely.
Like, don't shut your kids down.
Especially like Arab parents.
Yeah, I feel like this is especially popular within our. Yeah, and that's not good. Like
you got to be a doctor or an engineer if you're a dude. If you're a woman, it's like you can major in something, but you don't really have to do a job if you don't want to. You just stay at home, get married.
Yeah, that's terrible. I mean, everybody should have a shot at success, regardless of gender, regardless of who you are, regardless,
definitely,
where you come from. But I feel like shutting your kids down just because they decide to do something that you haven't done, that no one in your family has done, or you wouldn't have expected to do, doesn't give you the pass to just shut your kids down. If your kid wants to do art, if your kid comes back home to you with a little panel that they did in art class or something, pick it up and encourage them. Tell them they did a good job and that you like it. And go a step further, actually. Go a step further. Take them to the store, buy them a sketchbook, and buy them other equipment. Because think about it this way. If you set your kid on a path, it can go one of two ways. At some point, they realize they don't like it, and they decide, okay, now I want to do something else. Or they get really, really, really good at it.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it this way. Do you think NBA players just woke up one day out of the blue, just sometime, during their school years, and were like, okay, yeah, I want to start playing basketball, I want to become an NBA player? No. I feel like that's the type of thing that you have to foster during childhood, and it just kind of grows with because
especially like with kids, like that's something that's a period of time where you have something like the biggest capacity to learn, is what I've heard. I don't know how accurate that is, but
it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I believe that. And like,
I mean, you as a kid, you learn languages faster, so it kind of carries on. But yeah,
and like and that like childhood like passion when you just kind of see something and you think it's so amazing that you want to do it. I feel like that's something that I don't have in life anymore now, or like I haven't had for a while, and that's just kind of sad and like true though.
It's unfortunate, you know. I have a little sister, and she likes to do stuff. You know, she's not the greatest at her maybe in math or science or whatever. She's only 8 years old, but one time I walked into her and she had paint. Like she just had some paint, and then she had a paper towel, like straight paper towel from the kitchen, just regular paper towel. She had it, and she was doing like really artsy stuff with it. Like she was putting blue, purple, red, mixing colors, and she's probably doing a better job than I was in my art class in high school.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I feel like school kills.
Yeah, definitely.
I was let's not get into that. But like I was saying, she does some great stuff. Like she was doing like, I was like, this looks really nice. So if I had two options. I can be like, oh, don't do this crap. It's not gonna get you anywhere.
Of course.
Now I'm not saying that if you do art you're gonna get paid like millions or
just
anything,
encourage it, like
just encourage it. What if you never know.
Exactly.
You never know. Art is something basic. Like no kid is gonna wake up one day and be like, I want to do video production. I don't want to be an animator. That stuff like starts from somewhere, and that somewhere is like something like art, something like gymnastics, something like sports.
Yeah.
So in that situation, you want to encourage your child. You don't want to shut them down.
Definitely.
Don't laugh. It really messes with them. Like if you laugh at your child for something, you're really messing with them. And just encourage them. Let them know that they're doing a great job.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you kind of had the argument that it's just going to be a hobby, or like it's not going to amount to anything, I think that's it's not the most. Like I'm saying, that is a very untrue statement. Like it's actually really useful to have like an outlet like that, or like a hobby. If you're feeling, inevitably you're going to feel shitty at some point in your life. You're just going to, you need something to lift you up, or I don't know. Like I don't have that personally. It's just like
every person has potential in them.
Yeah.
Whether it's in art, whether it's in gymnastics, whether it's in science, whether it's in math, whether it's in engineering, you name it.
Yeah.
Everyone has some sort of something that they would excel at, something that they're meant for. However, I feel like school and parents and sometimes friends can shut you down from doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
Now, there's like you don't want to do, you don't want to get into bad things. There's certainly like times where you can tell your child to not do things, but if they're doing something that's different from what you're used to, don't shut them down. And I mean, that's really all we have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know when the next Mozart is gonna roll around. I mean, he could be your kid for all you know.
Yeah.
You just have to let it out.
Just let them be, do their thing. Yeah. So I mean, like getting back to what I was saying, that was one of my passions. Like this was like early high school, I guess. But yeah, it kind of, like you said, it got shut down, and like that's something that affects you, and I kind of lost interest in it eventually. And I mean, I still watch movies sometimes, and I just in awe of like just the beauty of a shot or something. Like there's this movie called what's it called? I can't remember, but it's directed by Denis Villeneuve, and it's the same guy that directed Blade Runner 2049. And Roger Deakins is the director of photography. He also was the director of photography for Blade Runner 2049. And these shots were it's like a painting. Like every single one of his shots were like paintings. And I was like, wow, it's amazing. Wish I could do that, but I can't. But that's fine. It's all good. Anyways, so then I kind of moved on to photography the next thing, because I was like, filming, you kind of have to have people around, like actors or whatever.
Yeah, you're
like,
independent.
Yeah, so I did like make a couple videos like just for fun back in the day, and I think this was senior year of high school, with like as class projects. And then I got into photography, and then I also dropped that and then I got into making beats, and I'm kind of dropping it. I'm kind of staying in it a little bit, keeping my toe wet. Gotta do that. Yeah. What about you? Yeah. Oh, we already asked you that. We talked about you.
Yeah, video games for me have been a consistent thing. That's good. I did have people shutting me down, but don't listen to the haters. You know, dude. I mean, I'm not saying I came out to be like a professional, video game player or anything, but it certainly is something that I find very relaxing. Something that I find that I excel at. I'm well above average when it comes to those kind of things. I get, it's kind of interesting because actually one time I was when I first got my Xbox, my 360 back in 2012, I think, during Black Friday. I think it was 2011 actually. It was 2011. I got my Xbox 360 during Black Friday. And the Call of Duty that was out at that time was Modern Warfare 3. Now, mind you, I didn't know that Call of Duty would be what it is today. This is not to say that I condone the way Call of Duty is right now. I do not. But I played MW3 and I used to play video games like that. And I spent, a decent amount of time to get good at it. And it certainly wasn't like I just picked up, video games at that time and it got really good. Yeah. Like, if you keep playing games, regardless of what kind of game, like, you start getting better at getting good at them. Yeah. I feel like if you were to give me, like, a new game, if you're a good video game player, if you're good at playing games, it doesn't mean that you can crush everyone. Yeah. I feel like it relates to how fast you can pick something up. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I picked it up fast and I got really good, and I dropped it. I haven't played on a console like in forever. I haven't played a first-person shooter on a console forever. But I was at somebody's house, a family friend's house. Nice guy. Absolutely love him. And he has an Xbox One, and he's older than me. He's like a family friend. So he was like, "Hey, dude, you want to play on my Xbox?" I was like, "Sure. What do you want me to play?" He's like, "Just play Call of Duty for me and rack up as many points as you can." I was like, "All right, I can do that." I get on and I'm playing, and as I'm playing, he sees me watching, and he's just like, "Wow, man, like I certainly can't do that. Like the way that you're looking around, the way that you're scanning for things, how fast you react, I can't do that." Now, I'm not saying that I'm a professional gamer by any means, because these guys are like something else, but you're definitely setting yourself above average, which can certainly do something for you. Not necessarily in a professional way, but at least in a personal, I don't want to say spiritual, but in a personal, like emotional, so that kind of stuff does something for you, and I really hate getting judged for that. Like, people are always like, why is this all that you do? It's like, I mean, I have two options. Either I can do that, or I can waste my time,
doing something
I don't like. Or it's like, why don't you spend time with people? I mean, I don't know. I don't really need to know a lot of the people that I know. Like, you're not really gonna do anything for me. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm like mean to people or anything, but like, it's not something that's worth.
You prefer to do your own thing.
Yeah, it's not something that's like really worth fostering. Like, I'd rather have.
It has something to do with like being more reliable. Like, what you're gonna get out of this.
Yeah, I don't want to rely on people certainly, and I don't want people thinking that I owe them anything. You know?
Definitely.
So it's a big part of it. Anyway, we went a little overboard.
Overboard.
Do you want to get off this podcast? Get off. If you're bored, get off the podcast.
You don't even deserve to listen to this podcast, mate. You don't even deserve it.
Outback Steakhouse. That's all I have to say.
Come on down to the Outback.
We got kangaroos.
Why is it necessarily steak, though? Like, is that a Australian thing?
No, it's just Australian.
And why is it Australian themed?
Because the guy who owns it actually has never been to Australia in his life. I'm serious. This is a fact.
Is that for real?
Well, at some point, I don't know if it's still real now.
That's crazy.
But like a couple of years ago, I read it.
Has he like just seen pictures and he's just like, yo, that's wild. Like, we need to make a restaurant like that.
Australia is lit. He just saw a video of a kangaroo on the Outback, and he's like,
Outback.
he was eating steak, and he just had an idea.
Dude, moment of inspiration.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about the things that we wanted to talk about coming into this podcast before we got way too candid about it. So the first thing that you wanted to discuss was the article you read the other day. So go ahead and tell me about that.
Yeah, so this article was talking about nice guys, quote unquote nice guys. And it's titled Nice Brains Finish Last. Okay. So it was kind of discussing some studies that have been done. It separates human beings into three categories. You got 60% of people being pro-socials, and this means that they prefer Excused. Alrighty. They prefer resources to be distributed equally among everyone. 30% are individualists, meaning they are primarily concerned with maximizing their own resources. And roughly 10% are competitive. To them, the most important outcome is that they have more than other people. So what do you think about that split? Like, just like in general?
I feel like, that's interesting.
I think we've discussed before, like how, like people can just be split up into like a whole number of groups, like
you can be
like
part
people
of
can
both,
be categorized, like yeah. So I feel like there's just a certain set number of qualities that people have, and we're all pretty alike.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think there's necessarily.
I mean, everybody's different, but you're not as different as you think you are. I don't
necessarily believe that everybody's different myself.
I would be bullshitting if I were to walk out of this room telling you that I'm very unique or anything. And I'm sure there's somebody else out there who's
I think you're unique, man.
who has the same interests as me.
Yeah.
Probably even better at doing what I'm
not as
doing.
handsome though. Probably not as handsome.
Yeah, definitely not.
Definitely
that is not an option.
Not an option, dude.
That is not a thing. Okay. But yeah, so I feel like people can be a mix of everything. I feel like it's too extreme to say that, oh, I'm so competitive. Like, if you're in that 10%, like, if you're in that competitive 10% and everything to you is about getting some more than the other person. Like, if you see hypothetically, you see a homeless guy on the street. He's asleep, and he has food by him.
Yeah.
Would you go ahead and take that? Probably not. Like, maybe if you're fucked up, but probably not.
Probably not. I mean, it is 10%, dude. 10% of all human beings. That's a very small number.
I feel like you'd have to go pretty low.
It have to be lower than that for you to.
10% of people is actually a large number. I mean,
then now that I just said that, I was like, yeah, actually, I don't want to do math right now, but
it's 7. We have. Okay,
I trust you.
It's pretty simple. 7 billion. That's 100 million people right there.
Wow.
All right. So I certainly don't think everybody's that extreme.
But like, what do you think about just the categorizations? Like, do you think that it can be like just that easy to just categorize people?
I feel like it's not that, but it's you can't just characterize and label things like that. But I feel like it's a way of per se. It's a way of setting some sort of standard.
Yeah.
But this is the hard thing about things like that is you can't quantify them.
Yeah, that's what. So the statistician in me is like, where did they get the 60 30 10 split? How did they?
It's probably like one of those BS personality surveys.
They just took like 10 people and they were like, all right, so we got, we had the whatever.
Here's the thing
6
about
people who were like this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing about surveys. When you fill out a survey, you're not filling out who you are. You're filling out who you think you are.
That's deep.
Think about that. So, is it really true?
We really out here dropping knowledge if you ain't noticed.
Facts.
Dead.
Facts. I might have to censor that out. I don't
know. Anyways. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So, like I was saying, I feel like it's hard to just quantify something like that, and you definitely don't fill out who you really are. It's more of who you think you are.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a better way of putting that. That's my thoughts on that. I mean, tell me more about your article. What else?
Yeah. So what they did in this study was they observed the amygdala. Okay, the amygdala is a part of the brain that, quote unquote, lies at the core of pro-social orientation. It's a primal brain structure, and it's mainly associated with stress, quote unquote, automatic feelings of stress. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they set up this experiment where either others received more money than they did, or they received more money than the other people did. So,
right. Makes sense.
For the pro-social, the amygdala was activated in both situations. So this is telling us that they both felt guilt when they had more money than the other person, and also they felt stress when they didn't have as much money as the other person.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. And then the individualists only had strong amygdala activations when they were the victims of the inequality or in the inequity.
Wait, that's the what?
The individualist. So the individualist is the person who is primarily concerned with maximizing their own resources.
Right.
Yeah. And then finally, the
10%.
The 10%.
The the competitive group that we said would compete for resources, and I feel like that's a little unrealistic. Yeah, what about them?
Can't seem to find it here.
That's interesting. Take your time. I mean,
all right, let's take my time.
I can literally just rant until you
rant. Please rant.
Okay, so I'll try to keep it on topic. So I feel like what you're talking about, the whole being resourceful thing, I feel like it's kind of like hard to like put a finger on. Like everybody would act differently in a certain situation. Mm-hmm. Just because 60% of people act like that in a specific situation doesn't mean they won't act like that. They'll act like that in a different situation where you'd expect the same outcome. It's kind of interesting because Ronald Reagan, he's Republican. Republicans and him as a president, they're big on, everybody gets what they work for. And we shouldn't have to give welfare to the poor or the homeless. And, that's their responsibility to figure out. That's his idea. That's what got him into office. That's one of the ideals that got him to office. And, that's what that's what he believes. Fair enough. But, and certainly, like, despite that being his viewpoint, that doesn't mean that's what actually carries on to the way he interacts with people. Because one time he was actually at an airport. And outside the airport, I'm not sure what it was. I think it's an airport. But outside the airport, either he just came back from a flight or something. There was a woman, and she was complaining to him. She was like, you got into office, you took away my welfare, and now I can't feed my kids, or something along those lines. And he responded by giving her a check for money to get her stuff done. He didn't say to her, he wasn't there to her face to say, oh, well, too bad because you get what you deserve and this isn't that. Like, no, there was some humanity in him that told him, he should do that. So it's hard to just label everyone as 60% this, 30% that, and 10% this. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work like that. That it's very like it's subjective to a certain extent, and then it's very subjective after that.
Yeah. It looks like they actually didn't do it on the competitive. Maybe they couldn't get track of that 10%.
I mean, how did they find them in the first place?
I mean, they didn't necessarily find them, but
Maybe
I think they only
maybe they
conducted
just
studies.
didn't feel anything.
Yeah, dude, they're just reckless.
Like
I am dead inside.
probably. I mean, you never know.
Me? You trying to say I'm probably dead inside, dude?
I'm talking about the person.
You're talking about
in the
I
survey.
think
Are you in the survey? Were you in the survey? Were you
I
part of the
might have.
survey?
I might have been.
Well, crap. I don't know, because maybe I was talking.
I don't want to
you.
disclose that. I signed a paper that said,
I signed a paper that said I was never a participant in this very specific survey.
I signed a paper that said that if I ever started a podcast, that I couldn't say that I was on
With
that
a bed,
study.
a podcast with a bed,
yeah,
in his room,
yeah,
with pop filters.
with what?
Dude, they can't. They probably can't even hear it.
Probably can't even hear the P's there. It's
yeah,
fine. It's fine.
It's fine because the pop filter game is so strong. But yeah, I mean, there's not really much more to say about that. And
I think you're totally correct. I mean, for me, the whole thing about that is like if we're talking about people being categorized, I do believe that people can be categorized that strictly. Like, they might act differently. There might be some outliers for you statisticians out there. There might be some outliers. Well, that's fine. You're still in the 60-30-10 split there. We can still put you in somewhere. All right. But yeah, why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about what you wanted to talk about today, Abed?
Is that all you have to say?
That's all I have to say.
Okay. What I actually want to talk about is something that I've never considered before in my life. I never really thought about it. It never really came to mind until very recently, where in one of my civil classes, I was asked to find something to talk about, find some sort of discussion point, anything to talk about. And, as a civil engineer, it has to be something about civil engineering. And as somebody who likes civil engineering, I know what I want to look for. I'm not like, I don't know what to talk about. I've always
stuff. You know your stuff.
I know myself and I know my stuff.
Definitely.
Both.
I envy that, actually.
Both.
I can't relate.
Both of them. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, Henry.
It's all good.
I'm sorry to hear that. It's definitely not good. Anyway, so, and I've always been into construction and structural and working with buildings and stuff like that, but it's kind of boring to just talk about buildings.
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna say? Like, here, just put some beams.
Check out this building. It's got beams. It's got support. All that good. It's got little walls.
Look at that window. Pretty nice window.
Yeah. See
that door.
Face
pretty
towards
expensive.
the north, so the sun gets in or whatever. I don't care about
that. No one cares. No one really.
No one actually even cares.
No one even built a building before. That's how much they don't care.
I've never
I'm not even in a building
now that
right
you
now.
Bring it up, what are you even talking about? What are we even talking about right now?
You didn't even let me get to it.
All right, my bad, dude. All right,
I said,
you know what?
It can be about.
Is there some tension here?
I can turn that into an engineering joke if you like.
You know what? Do you, baby?
Hold this wire.
I'm holding it.
Pull it. That's tension.
Wow. For those of you who can't see this at home listening to the podcast, we have a wire here.
And we're pulling on it.
It kind of looks like a string,
We're pulling it.
A spring. Excuse me there. A spring. You guys ever seen a spring before? And it's got that kind of springy structure to it. And he pulled on one end of it. All right. While he was doing that, I was pulling on the other end of it.
We put that shit in equilibrium. It was not accelerating in either direction. Oh man! All right.
But yeah, tension, like you were saying.
Yeah, this is not. Well, it's kind of has to do with tension, but anyway. So it can't just be about structures. I'm not gonna just talk about structures. So I decided to talk about something related to structures, which is very interesting. Earthquakes and how they relate to structures. So what happens to a structure during an earthquake? What can you do to stop a structure from failing during an earthquake? Because believe it or not, earthquakes as a hazard actually kill, I think on average, 10,000 people every year.
Wow.
So it's certainly something that should be talked about and something that should be addressed. And losses, economical losses that occur from earthquakes are actually pretty significant. And think about it like this: if you have a flat piece of land, just grass, an earthquake happens, what the hell is going to happen to it? Literally nothing.
Yeah.
You put some structures on it, they're going to get screwed.
Definitely.
They're going to collapse, and you're going to lose all the money that you put into it, and then you're going to have to put more money reconstructing it.
Yeah.
So it goes without saying that the losses due to earthquakes are significant. They're significant, especially with the whole pattern of people moving into cities and areas becoming more dense in population. It becomes a more and more serious issue. So you have to kind of come up with solutions to these earthquakes.
Yeah.
And there's actually a ton of solutions that go around. One that comes to mind, and this is one of those things that you put straight in a structure. There's vibration controls, so you can put pads under the building that can control the building's vibration, because when the earth is shaking, there's vibration. You can use buckling restrained braces, which they hold they're and you put them in the building in the middle, and they kind of share the stress that the earthquake causes evenly.
Look like?
So they actually look like, and here, let me show you a picture really quickly.
All right. For those of you at home, Abed is now typing into his computer on I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's Google, right? Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so.
Google.
So here's a picture of a buckling restrained brace. So it's this little thing that you put diagonally in building as such, and when an earthquake happens, they kind of distribute the forces and all the stress and the compression evenly throughout the building, so that one side doesn't fail before the others do.
That looks pretty legit.
That overall increases the strength of the building. Because think about it this way: if you, as a human, let's think hypothetically, if you were to break, if I just twisted your finger, your whole body just failed.
Are you twisting it or are you pulling it?
I'm just twisting your finger. That's how you're gonna die. I twist your finger and you die. That's pretty bad.
That is actually, you're right.
So the point of the buckling restrained braces is to prevent that, such that I'd have to smack and twist your whole body for you to die.
Oh, damn.
Which overall increases the strength and the amount that it can take.
Yeah.
You're talking about one twist versus I'd have to get like a machine to twist you.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of these. And that's just one of the many solutions. I'm not going to get too far into it. But it's interesting because there's things that come into play that you wouldn't expect. For example, now, of course, like the ground that you're on matters. Like if your construction is on sand, like bye-bye.
Yeah.
But actually, this is the case in Mexico City and in other parts of Mexico that are nearby. There's an earthquake that happened there just like about 10, 11 weeks ago, and it was pretty devastating. Yeah. And, as I said before, all of the damages and all the economical losses and all the casualties that occurred, or most of them, like 99% of them, that happened during that earthquake, as well as like 50 billion other earthquakes, were construction related. Because nothing is going to happen to like a flat piece of land, but once you put structures, that's where it goes bad. But it's actually not necessarily on the building, but the dirt that the buildings are on. There's a phenomenon called the soil liquefaction. So soil liquefaction is when the earth shakes, and if the soil, it has that property, it liquefacts, I guess, easily. So when an earthquake happens, you're getting those seismic vibrations. You're getting seismic stress. The dirt particles actually start to separate.
Yeah.
they start to move far apart from each other. And in science, you talk about how solids have particles that are close together, water a little liquids a little more loose, and then gas the loosest.
Yeah.
So it starts to go from solid and gets really close to liquid.
Huh.
The dirt becomes almost like liquid. So you get the buildings start to kind of sink, and then they fail, and like one part kind of dips on the other.
Yeah.
And you just it's there's a lot that goes into it, and it's very interesting when you learn about all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that goes into play
Mm.
when it comes to that. I mean, and it's sad because we have all these solutions, but they're not being implemented, especially in countries that need them. Look at Mexico. Mexico is unfortunately like a very corrupt country.
Mhm.
There's a lot of corruption that goes on. Same goes with a lot of countries in South America, and the government just does not really care. Well, I don't want to say the government, because Mexico has been doing a little like good handling earthquakes, but other countries that are more isolated, something that's in the Caribbean, an earthquake happens, they're pretty screwed because they're a small government. They don't have a lot of funds. They don't have enough money to implement these solutions that we're talking about, like buckling restrained braces, or vibration controls, or whatever, as many solutions, or steel wall plates.
Yeah.
Any So you have all this stuff that's just, and governments either can't do anything about it, or they don't care enough to do anything about it, or they say they want to do something about it, but like they have a code. Like some countries have a code. Oh, whenever you build a structure, you have to consider earthquakes. You have to give it some sort of resistance to earthquakes. But when the construction company comes around, they don't give a crap. They just build it for as cheap as possible so that they can get the most out of it. And you're just left with very weak structures. And believe it or not, the United States is one of those countries that has a code related to earthquakes, but no one just happens to care about it. It's one of those countries.
That's sad.
It's very sad, and it's seriously, it's a problem. Like, it's problematic. Like, people are not aware of this issue. I mean, there's so many issues that go on, but this one, like, people are definitely not aware of.
Yeah.
I mean, I never knew that before, like, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it's you don't get a lot of publicity about this. There's not a lot that goes around.
Yeah.
And people just don't know, and you're just kind of left with those countries that are helpless when it comes to earthquakes, despite the fact that they will be affected by them heavily.
Yeah.
And this is why we need civil engineering.
Mm.
This is why we need civil engineers who know what they're doing, who have a good work ethic, who have morals and ethics going into the workforce and when they're working.
Yeah.
We don't want, what my professor says? Bad, cheating engineers kill people. And that's what these guys are doing. They're literally killing people because they didn't care enough to, make sure the structure doesn't fail in case of an earthquake.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is, man. I mean, it's sad, and there's not really much more I can say about it.
Is there, like you said, that the United States and Mexico are examples of, or bad examples that you gave of countries that aren't doing as good as they should be with these kind of things?
Yeah.
Are there any countries that you've researched that are doing well with this type of thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you reminded me. Look at Japan. Japan is east of China, right? It's in the middle of the ocean. Not in the middle of the ocean as into like it's displaced from everything, but it's in the ocean.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, Japan experiences some of the most terrible hazards and disasters that can occur on this planet. I mean, they experience tsunamis, they experience typhoons, and they experience earthquakes and many other things. But they're prepared. They know what they're doing. They learn from their mistakes. And this is the good thing. This is the thing about the Japanese. They always learn from their mistakes. You make a mistake once, and then they know it. They learn from it. They never repeat it. So if anything, any sort of catastrophe happens to them, the next time they're like 3 times as prepared as they were. So you have a country that experiences all of that stuff, disasters, hazards, all of that. It's gonna weigh you down.
Yeah.
But Japan has one of the best economies in the world as it stands.
Mm-hmm.
They have very popular cities, very amazing cities, tall structures, large populations, good education, good economy. They have a market going on. Those are all indicators of a good economy, a good government, a good country.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They implement these solutions. They know how to increase the resiliency of the country against those kind of stuff. So Japan is a perfect example of a country that, despite being at odds against the world, they're prepared. And despite the fact that they're being weighed down by all these disasters, they still come out pretty strong. So I'm glad you asked me that, because it's a great example.
I try to bring good questions to the table, and I hope that I do that. I hope that I just did that, and I hope that I continue to do that as long as I can.
I'm sure you will, Henny. You're a great person, and
Oh my god. Thank you so much for saying that.
yeah, no problem.
I think you're actually an amazing person as well. Like,
Thank you, Henny. I feel like I don't hear that a lot, and I'm sure you don't
feel
hear
like
that
you
enough
should.
either.
You should hear that. Like,
I know.
people should really get hip. Like, come on now, get hip to this dude. He is the best.
Of the best.
More Abed, more like a best. Come on.
Thank you.
Come on, son.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you. Definitely not a bed joke. Like the 50 million that I
dead
hear every
meme.
day.
Yeah.
That meme is way dead.
Yeah.
Dead.
Was
a
it
long
ever
time.
even alive?
It's
that's the
posted
question.
on Facebook. That's how dead. It's being
Wow.
That's how dead the meme
That's
is.
disgusting.
It left 4chan, went into Reddit, got
my
cycled through
God.
Twitter,
Oh
and
my
now it's on
God.
Facebook. It's in the cemetery of
Oh my
memes.
god. Disgusting.
You might even find it on like 9gag or iFunny
Oh
or something.
My ears, they're bleeding.
I'm sorry to have to put this on you.
It's fine. I mean, it's necessary, We need to let the listeners know the type of things that go on the internet. You got to be careful out there. You got to keep yourself protected. Have that ad block on definitely at all times.
Even in the website tells you to please remove. Don't listen to them.
Don't do that.
You're doing yourself a service.
Do that. Please don't do that.
You're gonna make Henny cry if you do that.
Please don't do that.
Don't cry, dude. Don't cry. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Are we done crying?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. And is there anything else you want to add, Henny?
Man. I just wanted to say that this was a pleasure, and I hope that it will continue to be a pleasure. And if you guys have any questions that you want to ask us, go ahead and leave those in the comments below.
And we'll answer them at the end of the next podcast.
The next one is
We'll
at the
have
end of it.
At the end of the
We'll
next
answer them.
podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll answer the questions at the end of every podcast, starting the next podcast.
Just
we
don't
get any questions.
don't ask any stupid questions.
Please.
If you ask any stupid questions, I'm gonna be mad. All right? You don't want to see me mad, okay? And you don't want to hear me mad either, especially that, okay?
Because it's a podcast and you can't see them.
Yeah. Definitely.
Definitely. Thanks for letting them know that.
I had to. Yeah.
Some lines just can't be crossed. Anyway, have we decided on the guest for next week?
We've decided on Jafar.
Jafar, if you're hearing this right now,
baby, you're going places, baby.
This podcast will put you on the map.
It really will. You'll be able to we'll name drop it and get whatever you want, okay?
I was on the Whole Punch podcast. Bam.
That's all you have to say.
Instant access to anything you want.
Nothing else. No other words have to come out of your mouth.
There's definitely a lot that goes into this podcast, and definitely it gets what it deserves.
I think
We'll
you're
just
right.
say that much. We'll just say that much. And I think on that note, Do you have anything else to add?
Nah, dude.
That's it?
Just stay safe out there, you know?
Stay safe. And I think that's all I have for you.
Peace out, Girl Scout. You know what I mean?
All today. And we'll see you all on the next episode of the Whole Punch podcast.